I don't know if y'all saw, but 23andMe is going bankrupt, and I imagine, Providence has some stake in what happens with all that data, because it was y'all. It was y'all that were looking it up and like, no, I just wonder, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, I don't know, there's just some days where I feel like a little Scandinavian. And no, it's just fun to find out. It's like, just how German am I? And you get those percentage breakdowns and stuff. It's like, all right, do you? I don't know. I wonder. I truly wonder. I knew they had some black people in the commercials, but I do wonder how many of us it was. Because every time I saw an ad for like a 23andMe, I was like, I have a general idea. Nah, I don't need to be sad today. I would rather not. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Just send me a bag. Send me a PDF that says, slavery. They got you. No, I was good. And one of the reasons that was good is that early on, like I'm finally vindicated where I can say this and not seem crazy, because even at best, if my thing is like wrong, it still wasn't the best business plan, so they're going to, so I don't look as, because my friends looked at me like I was out of my mind. I had so many friends, all white. I had so many friends doing 23andMe, and I was like, don't do it! And because I was a truther. I was like, look at what the company is doing and look at what they're researching. You know what I mean? There are so many of these like heritage companies that are also putting money into pharmaceutical industry. And it's just to figure out how much of something people get when they're a certain lineage, invest in those drugs, expecting that thing to finally pop up one day. And people were like, that's so paranoid. And I was like, yeah. Paranoid is... Paranoid is like why I won't do the thing. Like, okay, how do I put this? Paranoid to me is if you're right and you're paranoid, you're like spot on. If you're paranoid and you happen to be wrong, you do start to be crazy. Like that is what a crazy person, like that's, now I'm crazy. If I was wrong and they were just a blossoming company and they were only helping the world, I'd be that one dude on the corner, don't take it. You know what I mean? That would be me. But look, all I'm saying is I told so many people, I was like, hey, you don't need to know. You made it through. Because then I had some friends where I was like, you don't even need to know because I can tell you. How about that? I'll do you that favor. You don't need 23andMe, I'll do it for you. I have a friend who, okay, these two friends, they're the sweetest, but they make marriage such a curiosity to me, because I don't get, okay, she had kind of given him this ultimatum, right? Like really, go ahead and like, we're either doing it or we're not, you're either in this or you're out, right? And so then he went ahead and proposed and they got married. They're still married. And I don't know, like as a bystander, his friend, closer to him than her, I don't know why she would do that to herself, right? Because I went out to dinner with them one time, third wheeling it. It's okay because they're married. It's not awkward. I'm just chilling with my buddies, right? My buddy and his wife, who I'm now friends with as well. And the server comes over and we're ordering. And then the server asked if there were any food allergies. I said no. And he turns to her and goes, "Do I?" "Do I have any food allergies?" And she answered. She was like, "Yeah, shellfish." He was about to order the lobster bucket. And I was like, how is it worth keeping him alive like this? You literally forced an ultimatum to make it your job to keep him alive. Your prerogative, do what you want, but wow. You ever been driving and then you see like an animal on the side of the road and you're like, oh, we have to do something, someone might hit that animal, and so then you stop the car and you catch it and you put it in the back seat and you take it to like a local shelter or something, and they're like, hey, so sorry, we're really overrun. So then you take it home and it sort of becomes your dog over time, and you love it and you take care of it and you keep it alive. And that is exactly what she did with my friend. With my friend, she saw this dude who, if left to his own devices, would eat all the shellfish, not fully hitch himself, fully just get a puffed out head. And she was like, no, I need to not only stop that from happening, I need to make him my entire responsibility. And so when she was like, yeah, shellfish, and he was like, oh, right. I was sitting there like flabbergasted, right? And then we were eating, and as we're eating, she lightly starts choking, right? Like starts choking on her meal, and she's like doing the coughs and trying to get some water. Like just you can hear her trying to force it out, and we both recognize that she's choking, and we both we don't fully stand up because we're in a booth, but we start to like push up a little bit, like as if we're gonna have to get up, and I'm about to come around, and then he's like, spit it out. Sir, what do you think her plan is? Do you think she's like contemplating spitting out, but oh, it's just so good? I bring up this entire thing because he did a 23andMe. And I was like, bro, I can tell you right now, all right? You're half jackass. You're a quarter dumbass. And you're another quarter ass. He has a very big butt. He is thick. No, it's insane. Because then 23andMe not only was getting everyone's like data that had their DNA, also home addresses, also payment methods. So there's so many different things that are bad about a breach to 23andMe versus like a breach of Target or a breach of some other company that has a whole lot of credit card transactions, right? There's like actual things about you as a person in there. And I know as Americans, we don't care about our data. We don't. Our data, man, look, we gotta start respecting ourselves. For real, we are out here loose with our data, all right? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to shame, myself included. We are slutty with our data. Letting anybody get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody that feels like typing can get some of it. Not careful anything. We could have VPNs. We could have so much stuff. And nah, no. Let's be a little loose. There was already a data breach of 23andMe, and that freaked investors out. It freaked people out. It's like, what do people want with like my DNA results, you know? And then that stuff was apparently sold on the dark web in bits. And it's like, that's terrifying, because I don't know what the dark web is. Everybody keep talking about the dark web, but whenever I go to Safari, it's just regular web. Everybody talking about the dark web. I don't know. I'm not even saying I want on. I just don't know how to get on, which scares me because I feel like I might accidentally get on one day. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know how you could go somewhere? Like, to me, the dark web feels a lot like gang territory. When I was growing up, if you go on a long enough walk, you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. But you're like, these are the same feet that take me home took me here, so I wasn't trying to do anything, but that doesn't matter. Once you're in the territory, it's like, why are you wearing that color? So then imagine, I'm just on the regular internet. I go to Safari, Firefox, any of it, and I type in the website. I get it one letter wrong. All of a sudden my screen black and the letter's green. I'm sitting here trying to get out the matrix as fast as I can. And police quick with it now. They kick open the door like, why you on the dark web? It's like, no, it was my thumb. I didn't want this at all. So yeah, apparently a bunch of our data, a bunch of our DNA results are already on the dark web, which is insane. And then you have 23andMe, to their credit. This is why business is scary in the US, right? We get mad at companies for creating a product. And they used to create a product. Our parents and our grandparents know about this. They used to create a product and they put together the pieces. They had the best pieces to make the best product. And so if it ever broke down and you understood how the product was made, you could buy one of those pieces and fix that product, right? It's why our grandparents had TVs from the 60s. Because you could just go in there, you could open it up and be like, okay. And now purposely, whether it's for IP, there are places that will sue you. There are certain phone companies that will straight up sue you if you fix people's phones for a business. Then some of those same companies will make it so everything is one use. So if it breaks, you have to buy another one, because that's how they keep the revenue coming in, right? They don't want you to be self-sufficient and actually know how to fix this thing, because then you might do it. They'd make less money. All right? So they make a worse and worse product and they charge more and more for it. And if everybody does it, it becomes the new norm. And so now you don't expect anything to last for 4 or 5 years. And that used to be short term. You used to get things that last you for 10 years. My boy's granddaddy had a laptop. It might be the first laptop. It's honestly so old, we can't even tell what the brand icon is, because that wiped away a long time ago. This computer looks like it was made in the movie Dune, like it's futuristic and old at the same time. And you turn it on, and the on button is hard. It's extra hard. You gotta press it with some girth. You gotta really lean on that on button if you want to turn it on. If you just press it, the computer's like, you don't want it bad enough. You gotta put your thumb almost in that button, and then you hear not even a click, you hear every key is clickety clacking and hard as hell. And then when you turn it on, it does cough. Turn it on, it makes all those fake internet sounds. You can hear the fan inside of it fighting for its life. The fan inside, because now all the blades of the fans and everything have an almost silent motion to them. Sometimes you can just hear them if they're really working overtime. I had this Lenovo laptop in college. It was one of the last laptops where it looked like, if you look closely enough, you could see at least one of the fan blades moving, right? The fan in this laptop, first of all, I think it's missing a tooth. Cause it's trying, it's coughing, and it's trying, and you can hear it. His computer moans, I forgot to mention that. And then, if you want to turn on Wi-Fi, there's nothing clickable. You want Wi-Fi? You got to hit that switch. You got to slide a switch at the front of the computer. And then you get a little stick with the little edges on the side. Beep, 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 you know. This laptop got everything but an antenna. And his granddad knew computers, or at least he knew computers well enough back when computers first came out, like first computer, just little 0, little 1. He had it on lock. And so he fixed his laptop over and over and over again for years, to the point where even now it'll turn on. You gotta press extra, you really gotta lean your body over it, but it'll turn on. And that day is gone. We're not in that anymore. We're in the world of tech companies putting out their products and soldering it to make sure that if you open it, you destroy it, right? And 23andMe, to their credit, they came up with a good product. They came up with a very good product. The problem was you only needed it once. And so that was pretty much their undoing. Some people are going to say it was marketing. Some people are going to say it was general business plan. No, the thing that 23andMe did that was wrong in today's America was making a good product. People only needed it once, and then they could forget about it. And they tried the subscription thing. They tried it, and people, even my white friends were like, no, I got it. I mean, you said 45% Scandinavian. I'm going to take your word for it. I don't need to keep spitting in cups and sending them to you. That was the other thing I didn't trust. You know what I mean? Like, you just spit in a cup and mail it. Nah. Admittedly, that was a black thing for me. I was like, I'm not just gonna put my DNA out there for someone to have in case. Imagine now your mailman a murderer. He see that 23andMe package, he's like, this'll do nicely. Now the mailman kills somebody on his normal schedule. He open up your 23andMe and then dump out your little sample. See, they did it, right? And you can tell they did because they kissed him on the forehead right after. No. And so they made a very good product. Some would say an incredible product. There's connection. There's connection in knowing where you come from, especially if you're deeply in search for it. Finding those answers can be really special. Not special enough for me to spit in the cup and then mail it, because it's like, nah, you're not gonna get me, right? But one day, in some way, maybe, it'd be beautiful to figure out exactly where you come from, trace your entire lineage and everything like that. But a good portion of our life is genetics, but another portion is of where you come from are the people around you. The people that raise you are where you come from. Your environment is where you come from. Your culture, your community are where you come from. You know, if you have a good handle on those things, you know yourself. All the rest of the stuff is just gravy, you know? Because they tried to do these like home diagnostics, and that was a very bad idea. They were incredibly inaccurate, so people were either thinking they were in the clear or worrying for no reason, because you would do the 23andMe, and if you did the like pro premium package with the home diagnostics stuff, they'd send your sample back. They give you a PDF being like, yeah, you got diabetes. And then you would be like, are you sure? And they would say, no, I truly have no idea. That's the other reason I didn't do it. Not only am I like, no, I'm not gonna give my DNA out. What if you're a murderer? I also don't want to worry for no reason. Now, imagine somebody sending you something in the mail that's like, it's bad. It's bad, it's very bad. I'm not sure. Don't take my word for it, but it is pretty bad. I already have people in my life to do that. Truly, I already have people in my life giving me horrific medical advice. Just some of the worst stuff you've ever heard in your entire life. I have a friend who doesn't eat vegetables. Doesn't eat vegetables because he doesn't want to eat anything too phallic. I was like, well, explain your logic to me. And he was like, no, just dog, like, why, you want me to eat a cucumber? Try to bite a cucumber right now. It's all in your face, all hard and stuff. Not me. Not me. A carrot? No. I was like, you could chop it up. That's what they do. Do you think in a salad that they just lay the whole thing down? What are you talking about? Chop it up and eat your vegetable. He's like, no. You want me to hold, first of all, you want me to hold it and chop, you want me to, No, that might give me nightmares, dog. I'm like, all right, yeah, be deficient in everything then. Just walk around needing a nap twice a day. That's on you. Horrific medical advice. The type of medical advice that makes you go, oh, okay. I didn't think there'd be anything worse than WebMD, but I found you. So they were doing these home diagnostic tests and everything, and they were sending people stuff back being like, yeah, you got a bunch of like heart stuff in your family. And then they would act accordingly. They'd go to their doctor, they'd run a bunch of tests. And if they were lucky, that was like incorrect, you know? Or sometimes they would miss whole things, you know? They'd be like, nah, you good. You good. In fact, your blood pressure low. You might want to get something salty right now. Nah, hit that pork chop right quick. You have the pork chop, all of a sudden you dizzy. Why is my whole left side hurt? And so now that they're going bankrupt, there are people that are looking to buy it, and some of those people are like potentially insurers, which is terrifying. Is everything that I told people not to do when they were on the up and up. I'm like, hey, so now an insurance company is gonna buy your DNA and then not let you do any claims because they're like, no, we know you sick, dog. We saw the 23andMe. You know, because if you do a 23andMe of a corporation, they are 100% devil. Also somehow 100% efficient. No, it sucks. I look at where I come from, and like I said, it's from the people who raised me, people who put me together, or what I'm made up of. Like, there are people in my life that I was very fortunate to meet young who were much older, so they had a lot of wisdom to pass down. I remember there was this woman who would she'd just drop gems on me every now and again, out of nowhere, right? One time she said to me, she was like, you know, be very careful when you're picking a partner. Be very careful who you have a child with, because you're not making a baby, you're making a soul. And that's forever. She also once told me, don't ever trust somebody named after fruit. And I was like, what? And she was like, seriously, if somebody comes in your life named Clementine, she a hoe, all right? Don't trust any clementines, okay? Oh. Out of nowhere one time she told me. We were just sitting, and she was saying this about people, but she was like, when you finally see yourself the way that the people that love you see you, what a wonderful world that'll be. That's all the world's missing, is people that see themselves the way that the people that love them see them. Truly, like, there's, in everything that people do and everything we search for, we try to find it in all these other places, but there's a level of acceptance that other people have for us, and sometimes we reject it or we think we don't deserve it. But if we could see ourselves, you wish it. You wish it on people when they're battling addiction and depression. You wish, it's like, oh, I just want you to see yourself the way I see you. If you saw yourself the way that I see you, you wouldn't feel this way about yourself, you know? She also once told me never get in an argument with a woman and then eat the pie she makes after that argument. That's a pie full of glass. One time she told me, I don't even know where it came from, but she said that sometimes when people are searching for love, that all they really need is to find someone who reminds them of their best day. Find someone who feels like their best day. You're gonna argue, you're gonna not be able to stay in each other sometimes, but you can find somebody that feels like your best day. You won't always be happy, but you'll be like really in love. She was like, you find someone who feels like the best day that you've ever had. Because the best days only come once in a while. Every day can't be the best day, by definition. But if you find somebody that feels like your best day, you found a truly good life. She also told me that one time she got in an argument with her ex-husband, and she decided to let it go in that moment, you know, and bake him a pie. And she was like, wasn't my best day. I understand why people would want to do 23andMe, and I understand, at least on the surface, why they went bankrupt. They made the mistake of making a really good product and giving it to everybody, and everybody only needed it once, and that is tough. That's tough to watch people use their thing, watch that valuation go up. At one point, it was worth $6 billion. Billion. $6 billion. That's crazy. And then, you know, they started dropping off left and right. You know, people were like, oh, I'm not going to renew their subscription, or I sent it to my friend, but they don't want to take it. And the other reason people didn't want to take it was The other thing they did that was really good, but was their undoing, was they were helping to catch a lot of murderers. There were a lot of murderers who didn't even do 23andMe. They were like, I don't care how Scandinavian I am. And they're like, well, your cousin does. Hands behind your back. And you over here. That's tough. That's tough. You know what I mean? Because listen. I'm not rooting for criminals, okay? But how would you feel if you did all that planning? Do you know what I mean? You do all that planning, you rob a bank, you make it out scot-free. They're gonna make a movie about this one day and not know how to end it. You made it off scot-free, didn't kill anybody, very low charges if they catch you, just brandishing a weapon. Get on the ground, you know, took all the money and stuff like that. Haven't even spent it yet. And then one day, it's very quiet. It's so quiet that you're like, damn, it's quiet in here. And maybe you live in an apartment building. You're like, usually I hear somebody arguing with their spouse, hear some kids maybe. Hear some loud music, some teenagers around here. And you don't hear anything. And then out of nowhere, they bust open your door. They've cleared out all the neighbors, like, get on the ground. And you're like, what? How? How is this possible? You don't even have the money on. You planned it so well, the money's buried in another state. How? Oh, well, when you were robbing the bank, you cut your finger and it bled a little. And a brother you don't know you have spit in a cup in Providence, Rhode Island. And honestly, we wouldn't have found you if it wasn't for that. Like, we were like, all the markers aren't matching and we can't seem to connect the dots. And then your cousin spit in that cup. Turns out, you're pretty Scandinavian. You are very Scandinavian. Picking you up off the floor. Oh, thanks. Had no idea. Carting you off. Who knows? Maybe 23andMe's data, your data, will end up in good hands. Yeah, if you feel that way, you should delete it off the website right now. We are so loose with our... I don't expect everyone to know or care about what's happening in New York, you know? Which is why I was surprised that the nation seems so gripped by New York City's mayoral race. Like, this, people talk about it everywhere because I think it's just feels like a beta test for something bigger. You know? In case you're not familiar with who's running, right? You have to understand who's running to understand what's happening. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. And Eric Adams, in case you don't know, is one of the worst people at corruption I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, have a little mystery about you. Like, it's just, I feel like I could pay him off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, one day when they make, like, his corruption is just, it's not enough. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be corrupt, go all in. He'd be having me feel bad for him. You know what I mean? You did all this corruption, that's all they gave you? You should have asked for more. It was very upsetting. If they ever revisit this chapter in New York mayoral history, everybody gonna be disappointed. Be like, flights? He went down for flights? Just tickets? You know what I mean? You had a dude in Illinois at least going down for gold bars. That's real corruption. That's like cartoon corruption. You know what I mean? Like,
He took it back to the 50s level corruption. Break me off some gold bars, I'll get you anything you want. That's mustache twiddling, tying women to railroads corruption. That's crazy. And you over here embarrassing us as New Yorkers. This is a very rich city, and you going down for a couple flights to Turkey. Turkey! It's insane. But anyway, this dude got indicted while in office, but because he has no shame, everybody was like, he gonna step down, right? Like, he got step down once he's indicted. That's too embarrassing to go to work indicted. The closest thing I can imagine to, like, okay, okay, this is bad, my bad. Look, so when I was a kid, I mean, I was a little bit older, but my buddy's dad got in trouble, and he got a little time. He had to do like a year, right? But he did, one of the crimes, I still don't understand this, one of the crimes where you get to report to jail. Like, you get to report to, that's always weird, because whenever you watch Law and Order, they take you like, jail start right after usually that's jail, you know what I mean? Like, usually they take you out, I didn't do it, right? But for some reason, they told him he was guilty, but they let him, get his stuff in order, and he could report to jail. And that weekend, his son, my friend, took the car without permission and came home a little later than curfew. And clearly, his kid may be like acting out of frustration about things that are going on with his dad, but he gets home and his dad's very upset with him, and he's like, you didn't ask for permission for the car, you're supposed to be home by 10, I'm sorry, but you're grounded. And my buddy was like, no, I'm just throwing it out there, because which one of us got to go to jail on Monday? Like, it sounds like you grounded. It sounds like you really the one in trouble here. And that's kind of what it felt like with Adams. He's like, still trying to be a mayor, talk about crime and stuff. Over here talking about crime in the city. And so then you also have Curtis Sliwa. And Curtis Sliwa is the Republican running. And he's an interesting dude. He was like the head of the Guardian Angels. If you don't know what the Guardian Angels are, they're basically these people who hang out on the subway. You know the movie The Warriors? All right, it's like that, but if one of the gangs wanted to be the police. Like, all they really do is just fight black and brown people that they think are doing a crime, and sometimes lose the fight very badly because they are getting older. And Curtis Sliwa, like, I guess I could slightly see how someone like him ends up like him, because he does have a story of violence against him for every story you bring up about New York City. Like, you'll be like, hey, do you ever take the yellow cab? He's like, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1986. And you're like, how has this much happened to you? But Curtis Lee was running as a Republican. And then you have Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is a former governor. And now he is running for mayor because governor turned out so well. And then you have Zoran Mamdani. And Zoran Mamdani almost feels like a fixture of politics at the moment, because he is someone who seems to be the antidote for the thing that's been ailing the Democratic Party maybe for like 9 years. This is a dude who is running on what he will do and his own policies that he believes in. And it's one of the first people, Democrat or Republican, that is running without really having to say anything about Trump. He has his own ideas. He has things he wants to do for the place that he is running. He's not running on being not like Trump or closer to Trump or someone Trump will call or someone that Trump hates. He is not using Trump in his orbit. People bring him up, but he himself is saying, I want to make the buses fast and free. I want to have free child care. I want to freeze the rent for rent-stabilized homes. And I want to make sure that we hold bad landlords accountable. Things that are very specific, because that's the other thing that it feels like the Democratic Party has been missing, is a clear and concise plan for a policy, something that you can attach yourself to, that you don't really need to get in the weeds for. Because I'm not saying that Democratic senators and Democratic candidates have not had good plans. I'm just saying that once you need a graph, we are a country that doesn't like to read. It doesn't matter if it's a pie chart, it's still reading. Because one of the things that they've come after Mamdani about over and over and over again about his policies, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to do this? How do you plan to pay for it, right? And one thing that he's done very well is had a quick and simple explanation for his plans to pay for something, So when they ask him about maybe the bus system or maybe more rent stabilization, he'll say, we already spend this much money. So for the buses, he's like, we already generate $700 million in a bus fare. I think that would, is clearly money that we could use towards a free bus system. Also, all we have to do is raise the corporate tax rate and we'll have billions of extra dollars that could go towards childcare, billions of extra dollars that could go towards like a bus system. And then they're like, well, how do you plan to pay for it? Raising the corporate tax. Well, what will happen? If you raise the corporate tax, people will leave. Where you raise the corporate tax to? And he'll be like, I'm just raising it to the same as New Jersey. Like what they already do right there. Like they actually already do it over there. I guess you didn't know that, but it's already, I would just copy them. It wouldn't be higher than that. I would copy what they do over there. And I don't know, is everyone dead in New Jersey? I don't think so. I don't think everybody left. In fact, a lot of people moved there. So I think they'll be fine. But I don't think that Zoran is leading in the polls or is the Democratic candidate because of his clear and concise policy. I don't even think it's his youth. I don't even think it's because he's captured a moment. I think that he is the front runner because he, more so than anybody else, to a degree I've never seen before, is the number one. I'm telling you, the number one of all time, the number one Andrew Cuomo hater. He hates this dude. He hates this dude so much. He hates this man. He wake up and hate him. He wake up and he hate him with a smile too. You ever had somebody hate you with a smile? It makes you feel crazy. You're like, what you just said to me was foul, but you're smiling. Why are you smiling? No, he hates this dude. And look, don't get me wrong, they all hate him. Every candidate hates Cuomo. Eric Adams hates Cuomo so much that even though he had zero chance of winning, even though he was actually campaigning, this man was like, look, I'm gonna do it better next time. And we're like, do you mean crime? Do you mean? Eric Adams, he's even, look, to his credit, he is stumping with Cuomo. He's over there side by side with Cuomo and everything, probably looking for a job because he's about to be out of one. You know what I mean? He is out there with Cuomo, but you can tell he hates this dude. Sliwa hates him. Curtis Sliwa hates Cuomo. He hates Cuomo so much that he was actually asked by a reporter, you're over here getting about 11% in the polls. Why not drop out if you don't want Zoran to win that much? Why not drop out? And clearly the people voting for you might also vote for Cuomo. And then Curtis Sliwa looked really offended. He was like, why would I drop out? People like me. This man is running as a Republican in New York City, and he's still like, I'm not gonna drop out if it helps him. Zoran Mondani hates Cuomo. He hates that dude so much. Hates him so effectively. Real hate. I've never hated somebody so much. I learned all their stats. Zoran hate Cuomo so much, he memorized everything Cuomo ever did wrong and bring it up any chance he get. That's generational hate. I think Andrew Cuomo hates Andrew Cuomo because he running. It's like, why are you putting yourself through this? You know, man. Because then you look at the debates. Okay. This is very important. I gotta go back in the story for a second because Andrew Cuomo wasn't always hated. Even if you hate him right now, think back to a time where you didn't even know who he was. That time he was like beloved. People forget all about it because that's kind of what we do whenever somebody has lost favor in the public eye. A lot of people say they never liked him or that they don't really know why anyone ever liked him. But people loved Cuomo. Especially 2019 into 2020, people loved that dude. People loved Cuomo so much. I think that's why people hate him so much now. Because everything he did feels like such a betrayal of their love. You know, people were out here calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Look it up. That's a real thing. People loved him so much. And then he got popular around the same time that like zaddy became a term and everything. So he was riding some of that wave and stuff. And there were people, oof. Cuomo couldn't go anywhere without middle-aged women fawning. They were like, oh, he's so handsome. They loved Cuomo. And then COVID came. And for a little while, they loved him even more because New York's numbers during COVID looked really, really bad initially. Obviously, it would. It's an epicenter of travel. People go there from all over the world. And we're also on top of each other all the time, pandemic or no pandemic. But then we saw these huge numbers that scared everybody. And Cuomo's like, we're going to take this seriously. We're going to lock everything down. And he announced a bunch of policies. As soon as he announced those policies went into effect. And you saw the numbers crater. It was genuinely amazing to watch. It really felt like there was a lot of hope and everybody was going to live. And this is a long time before the vaccine came out or anything. So it was when people were at peak fear, right? But it was a wild time in New York because we had shut down so effectively that for the first time in New York City, the air was clean. You could take a deep breath. And then later, there was a scandal. Basically, it was exposed that Cuomo was doing some of the same things that Ron DeSantis was accused of doing in Florida, because Florida also had some pretty good numbers during COVID, which is weird because they didn't have any real shutdowns. They didn't have any real mask regulations or anything like that. But then both Cuomo and DeSantis were caught just not reporting or telling people not to report certain numbers. And it turned out that New York was looking really, really good in certain sections of the lockdown, except for nursing homes. And so the thing that's really important about that is that if you see the numbers going down and you've set up a bunch of policies, you'll think, okay, we should just keep doing this, see if the numbers go down further, right? If the numbers go up, you're like, clearly we need to change something. So because we did not have those markers of spikes, We didn't change things. And so there were a lot of seniors that died that didn't need to. They died in nursing homes because of protocols that just didn't have enough evidence around them and weren't the best practices, right? And he was covering it up. Some were saying by 50%, right? And so people started to like him a heck of a lot less. And then at the same time, basically in tandem, he was accused by about 11 women of sexual harassment. Then it was 13. That's stats. Those are numbers. Double digits, you doing it. You are clear. 13 women who don't know each other all got a story about you. That's you. You doing it. All of a sudden, nobody was a homosexual anymore. And everybody was telling this dude to resign, but he tried to fight it. He was like, I'm gonna fight these allegations. You're gonna see my name's gonna be cleared. And we were like, all right, but even if they clear your name on these sexual harassment allegations, you still did the nursing home thing. And so everybody from Joe Biden to Eric Adams was telling this dude to resign. And he finally resigned in 2021. And now he's running for mayor. That's just important to make sure you know, because I've watched people struggle before in a way that was kind of what looked like a bit of a lost cause. I try to be optimistic for people that are in my life, but I'll give you an example. My buddy wanted to enter an arm wrestling contest, and we are built the same. I'm never going to tell anybody not to follow their dream, but I won't let someone sleepwalk off a building. And so I was like, are you sure? Because, you look like a mirror right now, and I'm not entering any arm wrestling. But he's like, no, I want to do it. Been watching online, so cool. There's actually a tournament coming up. I want to go. And so, I went with him. We went, and this dude squares up. It's one of those ones where they got the peg on one side, so you grab it, and they got your arm with the pad for your elbow. And sure enough, they went. And as soon as they started, he was over here. And I couldn't believe that this man was actually winning. He was like pushing the arm down, and then he won. I was surprised. Like when people got that farmer strength? You don't see any real definition of muscle. It's all smooth, but they're incredibly strong. I was like, maybe that's him. And then I watched him from round to round. This man got to the semifinals. And at the semifinals, somebody walked up who really did look like a final boss. In my head, I was like, you've done very well for yourself. It's time to pack it up before he take that arm for good. It's gonna pop right out the socket. You're gonna leave with one. And sure enough, he squared up. And then they told him to go, and he, But this was different. This dude wasn't really moving, but he was really strained, even leaning a bit. And then he started to make noises he hadn't made in the other rounds. Once you scream in an arm wrestling contest, you have lost something. This man, and he's straining, till finally he goes, and he won. Now, to be fair, he won because the other guy went, ugh! And apparently that is a disqualification. Yeah, even when we were in the car ride home, we did have to leave. He didn't get to go to the finals because even when we were in the car, I was over there trying to be optimistic. I was over there like, at least you won. I give you an example of how much Zoran Mamdani hates Andrew Cuomo. In the first debate, right? In the first debate, it was Curtis Lewa, Zoran Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo all on stage together. Really, the race is between these two, but every once in a while we throw Curtis a question. And Cuomo's talking, and he goes, look, this is not a job. Being a mayor of one of the richest, biggest cities in the country is not a place for on-the-job experience. You know, this guy's never had a job before, and I don't think he can run the city. He definitely can't run it like I can. I can do a much better job. This is not a job for experience while you're in it. You gotta know, you gotta come with plans of what you're gonna do. And then, to his credit, Zoran, you know, it's like, I do have plans for what I'm gonna do. I've stated my plans clearly. Your only plan is to attack me. And Cuomo also came at him with a couple of things that are like talking points that a bunch of the candidates have used that they're not really clicking for me, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough Islamophobia to have it register. But one of the things that Cuomo brings up is like, this man still, you know, won't denounce the phrase globalize the Antifada. All right? You know, he's over here lobbing accusations at me. He still won't denounce the phrase globalize the Antifada. What Andrew Cuomo is referring to, supposedly, is a time where someone else said it and Zoran didn't, I guess, tackle them. This isn't language that he used. It's not something he said. It's something that someone else said that I guess he didn't do enough about in Cuomo's eyes, right? Mamdani responded, well, look, you're talking about things that are from 2020. And since we're talking about things that are from 2020, I don't know why, you know, people would elect a mayor who sent so many seniors to their deaths in nursing homes. You know, what I lack in experience, I make up for in integrity. And for what you lack in integrity, you could never make up for in experience. And I've never watched any debate like a rap battle. I was sitting in front of the computer like, oh! Get him! No, it's wild. Even Curtis Lewa got in digs on Cuomo. Cuomo's catching it from all angles. Because then, you know, they were talking about the accusations that had been lobbed at Cuomo during his time as governor. And Curtis Lewa goes, really? You spent all that money defending yourself? Really? All 13 women are lying, Andrew? All 13 women? This man hates Cuomo so much, he is standing up for women as a Republican. This dude hates Cuomo with all his heart. All this dude hates Cuomo so much. And then the second debate was even worse. There was a moment in the second debate where the candidates were allowed to ask each other a question. It was just question and answer. They couldn't go back and forth. You just got a question, you had an answer. And Cuomo went over on Mondani and he was like, you took a picture with this leader in Uganda. Did you know that this leader is actually someone who denounces all rights for gay people? They've actually worked on making it illegal to be gay in Uganda, and you took a picture with them. And Zoran answered, listen, at the time, I did not know this person's policies. I took a picture with this person. If I had known, I would not have taken that picture, full stop, right? And then it was Zoran's turn. And Zoran asked, he was like, Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, you were credibly accused by 13 women of sexual harassment. And in that time, you spent $20 million of taxpayer funds to defend yourself from all of these women. And you've lobbed, lawsuits, and you've worked with judges for gag orders and everything. You filed defamation suits on all these women. You have actually tried to obtain gynecological medical records of some of these women. Well, one of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is actually here tonight in the audience. And she can't even tell her story or speak for herself because you've lodged a defamation suit against her. But I can speak, so I want to ask on all of their behalfs, what do you say to the 13 women that accused you of sexual harassment? And it's in that moment I realized I wasn't hating to my full potential as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I am a C-tier hater when it comes to... This level of hate is unprecedented. I thought Kendrick hated Drake. This is truly wild. Because what can you do if you're Cuomo? I'll tell you what he did. He went, You went to Uganda? Truly, I have not seen a face like that on a person. Like, Andrew Cuomo's face when it was happening. I hadn't seen anyone make a face like that since my friend won his arm wrestling contest. I feel like the same thing was happening to Cuomo that happened to my buddy. Very bad. Whew. And Zoran is still leading in the polls, And one of the reasons that I think that he's still leading is because some of these efforts to stop Mondani have only helped him. Only helped him because billionaires have come out in force against every policy and against Zoran as a candidate. And that says a lot. They're like accidentally making him more popular. President Trump even said that if Zoran wins, he may have to mobilize the National Guard, take over New York City, which would be not just like a spit in the face to an open, free, and fair election, but what messaging does that look like to you? That you might have to send the National Guard and take over a city if the dude who wants free pre-K wins? Like all their efforts, they've spent so much money. Zoran himself has said, y'all are spending way more money on ads trying to campaign against me than I was even gonna tax you. You don't want it that bad, and why don't you want it that bad? That's crazy. There's something happening here, and I think that's why it's got so much attention across the nation. I think that America's very good at telling a story, and America is a salesman unto itself. It's like a salesman of a dream and of an idea, and people, one of the things that Trump and other people have said about Zoran is that he's a communist. He says he's a socialist, but he's a communist. And maybe that would have worked like 20 years ago. That might have worked. But we are a capitalist country. We all live in capitalism. and it's going poorly enough for enough people that they're willing to try anything. So calling someone a communist, this sort of Russia red, China red scare, it just doesn't hit the same when people are working jobs and still can't afford to feed their families. And then along comes someone with not just a lot of energy, but a lot of hope that says it doesn't have to be this way. Look at what they do over there. If we just did what they do over there, we'd be able to have more things for us, which is our money anyway. A lot of people have this misconception that the money that a corporation makes is all theirs and was all earned. But they got that money from how much they pay their workers, how much they actually provide for their consumers. And you see that when left up to their own devices, they skimp on, let's say it's just food, they skimp on ingredients, they skimp on workers, they skimp on. And then one day when they have $1 billion valuation, we look at them as if to tax them would be taking their $1 billion instead of just taking back what is owed to the people that made them great, you know? And so I think that what is so scary for people about Zoran that really don't like him is that he is a reminder to a lot of people that you are a citizen, you're not a consumer, you are a constituent, you're not a customer. Like the story that gets told now, especially by our politicians, is that if you ask for what is owed to you, what is actually yours, you're asking for a handout. But you already paid for these things and you pay them. So the idea that these people would all stand together in unison against this person who just wants to make the bus free should tell you something. And all of them stand together against him in the way that they are, with all the money they're throwing at him, and with all the fear-mongering that they're doing, it's having the opposite effect. Because now, to vote for him, even if you don't even like him, you get to stick it to a billionaire, people you already don't like. So what you've accidentally done is made voting for him like kind of cool as well. It would be like if you didn't want someone to date someone else, but the way that you lobbed things at them, the things that you said about them to try to discourage this person from dating this other person would be like if you sat them down and said, oh, you don't want to get with him. No, his penis too big. He's just... You don't even want those problems. You don't